My friends, not all darkness comes with thunder. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it smiles. And sometimes it sits right beside you, wearing the mask of trust. There are signs. Subtle, chilling, undeniable signs. And if you fail to see them, evil walks with you unseen. The first sign is the draining of your spirit. You feel exhausted, not from work, not from life, but from someone's presence. A weight in the room, a heaviness in the air, a silence that steals your energy. Evil rarely introduces itself with thunder or fire. It prefers a softer entrance, one that blends into your world without raising alarm. It hides behind masks, sometimes appearing in the form of trust, warmth, or even love. But behind that carefully crafted exterior, something far more sinister operates quietly. You begin to notice the change, not immediately, but gradually, like water slowly seeping through cracks in stone. At first, it feels like simple fatigue, the kind you attribute to long days and restless nights. Yet the exhaustion you feel does not come from work, not from the burdens of life, but from the presence of someone who claims to care for you. Every encounter leaves you drained, as though a hidden force is feeding on your energy, pulling from you what cannot be seen, but is deeply felt. It is the heaviness in the air when they walk into the room, a strange silence that doesn't soothe but suffocates. Conversations with them do not lift your spirit. Instead, they leave you questioning yourself, doubting your worth, feeling smaller than before. This is not ordinary fatigue, but the slow erosion of the soul. You sense it, yet you cannot put it into words, because they smile, they act kind, they appear to be trustworthy. This is the mask they wear, the illusion of safety, while quietly draining the life out of you. And the most chilling part is that others may not notice. To the world, they look like the person who is supportive, reliable, even admirable. But you, the one closest to their shadow, are the one who feels the weight of their hidden presence most strongly. The mask of trust is powerful because it makes you ignore the warning signs. You convince yourself that your exhaustion is your fault, that perhaps you are overthinking, too sensitive, or simply weak. But this is the exact space in which hidden evil thrives, in self-doubt. The more you question yourself, the more control it gains over you. It thrives not in being seen for what it truly is, but in being disguised as something familiar, something comforting. Evil knows that people are slow to distrust those who appear loyal, so it hides behind gestures of care, behind words that sound like encouragement, behind eyes that pretend to understand. And you, caught in the storm of unseen energy, begin to mistake the prison for safety. This draining of the spirit is not always explosive, not always dramatic. It is quiet, consistent, and relentless. It comes in the form of a conversation that steals your peace, a glance that unsettles your heart, a silence that feels like chains. It comes in laughter that sounds hollow, in questions that cut too deeply, in support that feels conditional. The longer you remain in such an environment, the more you begin to lose touch with yourself. You forget the sound of your own joy, the rhythm of your own energy, because every ounce of strength is being consumed by someone else's shadow. Evil doesn't need to shout or show violence to conquer. It only needs to sit beside you, smiling, while it steals the essence of who you are. Manipulation is one of the most dangerous weapons of hidden evil, because it rarely looks like what it truly is. It does not arrive with threats or loud commands, but comes dressed in the language of care, in gestures that seem gentle, in words that sound protective. At first, you believe this person wants the best for you, that their constant advice, their opinions about your choices, their need to be involved in every detail of your life are signs of love. But slowly, the sweetness of their concern begins to feel like chains around your freedom. They tell you what to do, but frame it as guidance. They question your decisions, but frame it as worry. They pull you away from your instincts, but frame it as protection. This is how manipulation thrives. It convinces you that you are being cared for while your independence is quietly stolen. The danger of such manipulation lies in how convincing it feels. You begin to doubt your own thoughts, replacing your voice with theirs. You stop trusting your instincts, believing that they know better than you. What once felt like partnership now feels like control, but the control is disguised so well that you hesitate to name it. They may say things like, "I only want what's best for you," or "I know you better than you know yourself." And you accept these words because they are wrapped in the language of love. Yet underneath, what is happening is a slow erasure of your choices, your freedom, your ability to live authentically. They make you believe you are safe in their control, but safety built on chains is never safety at all. Manipulation also creates guilt, a powerful tool to keep you bound. When you try to resist, when you try to step outside their influence, they remind you of all they've done for you. They make you feel selfish for wanting space, ungrateful for questioning their authority, even cruel for seeking freedom. You are made to carry the weight of their emotions, their fears, their needs, until your own needs vanish. The most chilling part is that you start to believe them. You start to think maybe they are right, maybe you are the one being unkind, maybe you are too independent, too rebellious, too ungrateful. This is the trap. They convince you to silence your own voice in order to keep theirs louder. At times, manipulation can even masquerade as sacrifice. They may say, "I gave up everything for you," or "I am only hard on you because I care." These words sound noble, but in truth, they are ropes meant to keep you tied. Instead of true love, which empowers and frees, this love enslaves and binds. Instead of lifting you higher, it keeps you beneath the shadow of their will. And because it looks like care, you hesitate to see it as evil. You convince yourself they must love you, because why else would they be so involved, so concerned, so invested? But love liberates, it does not imprison. Genuine care strengthens your wings, it does not clip them. Over time. You begin to feel smaller, less capable, and more dependent. This is exactly what manipulation wants, for you to no longer trust yourself, to no longer believe you can live without their guidance. When you are weak, they are strong. When you are doubtful, they are certain. When you are broken, they appear as your savior. But in truth, they were the ones who broke you. The sweetness of their words becomes the bitterness of your reality. You are no longer living by your choices, but by the invisible strings they hold. And when you look closer, you realize those strings are not threads of love, but chains of control, designed to keep you exactly where they want you. When hidden evil surrounds you, one of the most unsettling signs is the quiet death of truth. It doesn't happen all at once. It begins with small distortions, little adjustments to reality that seem harmless at first. A word altered here, a detail twisted there, and slowly the ground you stand on no longer feels solid. Lies do not arrive in full force. They creep in through half-truths, omissions, stories that are told just slightly differently than how you remember them. You try to correct it. You try to say, "That's not what happened." But somehow you are made to feel as though you are the one who misremembered. This is how reality begins to bend around such people until you are unsure of what is real and what has been carefully crafted to confuse you. The most chilling aspect of this corruption of truth is its subtlety. Rarely do they tell you something so outrageous you can immediately recognize it as a lie. Instead, they choose precision. They plant doubt, they sow confusion, they reshape events just enough that you begin to question your own memory. You might recall a conversation clearly, but they insist it never happened that way. You might feel certain about a promise they made, but they deny ever making it. The more you resist, the more convincing they become, and soon you begin to doubt yourself. This is not just lying, it is the slow dismantling of your ability to trust your own perception. When truth dies, clarity dies with it, and you are left stumbling in a fog created by their deception over time. This constant twisting of facts creates a dangerous effect. You begin to hesitate before speaking, fearing that your words will be turned against you or that your recollection will be questioned, until you no longer feel certain of it yourself. You censor your thoughts, you shrink your voice, you learn to stay silent. And in that silence, evil gains power. It thrives when you are unsure of yourself, when you stop believing your own mind. This is not accidental, it is deliberate. Hidden evil knows that if you lose faith in your truth, you will cling to theirs, even if it is poisoned. You will start to accept their version of events, because fighting it feels impossible, exhausting, and futile. Another sign is how they use these twisted truths to control perception. They may speak differently about you to others, reshaping your image in the eyes of the world. Suddenly, people you trusted look at you differently, not because of who you are, but because of the stories whispered about you. Lies, once repeated enough, begin to sound like truth, and you are left trapped in a reality you did not create. This isolation works in their favor. While you fight the battle of confusion, they stand confident, calm, and certain, as though they are the guardians of truth. To the outside world, they appear honest, but within the shadows, you know the reality they weave is made of deception. The destruction of truth is one of the deepest wounds, because it robs you not just of trust in others, but of trust in yourself. Once you start doubting your own memory, your own instincts, your own clarity, you lose the foundation on which your world rests. And when you no longer trust yourself, you become dependent on them for certainty, for guidance, for reality itself. This is the goal of hidden evil, not only to silence truth, but to replace it with their own narrative. They become the storyteller of your life, and you become merely a character in the script they write. And the longer you live within their version of reality, the further away your own truth drifts, until one day, you are not sure if it even existed at all. One of the clearest signs that hidden evil has wrapped its shadow around your life is the slow, almost invisible act of isolation. It never begins with force, it begins with suggestion, subtle hints that seem harmless, words spoken with the appearance of care. You hear things like, "They don't really understand you," or "I'm the only one who truly gets you." At first, it feels comforting, as though someone is offering you a safe place, a circle where you belong. But over time, you notice the circle tightening, shrinking, cutting you off from the voices that once brought you strength. Friends who used to make you laugh suddenly feel distant. Family members who once supported you seem like strangers. One by one, the bridges are burned, not always with fire, sometimes simply by neglect, sometimes by silent disconnection. And slowly, you are left standing alone, with only them beside you. Isolation is not just about losing people, it is about losing perspective. When you no longer hear the voices of others, you are left with only one voice, and that voice belongs to the one who benefits from your solitude. They become your source of validation, your source of truth, your source of guidance. Without realizing it, you stop calling your old friends, you stop sharing your struggles with your family, you stop opening up to anyone who might see what is really happening. This withdrawal is not your natural choice, but the result of carefully orchestrated influence. Hidden evil thrives in silence and secrecy, and the more alone you become, the easier it is for control to sink its claws into you. The methods of isolation can be subtle but effective. They may create conflict between you and the people you love, planting seeds of doubt and mistrust. They may tell you lies about what others think of you, whispering that those closest to you are speaking behind your back. They may present themselves as the only one who remains loyal, while suggesting that everyone else has failed you. In the beginning, you might resist, but repeated often enough, these ideas start to feel true. Suspicion grows, distance widens, and soon, the network that once held you up becomes a memory you can barely reach. And in that emptiness, they tighten their grip, because the less support you have, the more dependent you become on them. Isolation also works by reshaping your habits and environment. They may discourage you from going out, from pursuing hobbies, from seeking new friendships. They may insist that certain people are a bad influence or that certain activities waste your time. At first, it seems like they are guiding you, but over time, you notice your world shrinking. The places you used to visit feel far away. The connections you used to cherish fade, and your life becomes smaller and smaller until it revolves only around them. And once your world is narrowed to a single person, their control is complete. You cannot see beyond them, you cannot imagine life without them, because they have become the center of your existence. The most chilling part of isolation is how invisible it looks to the outside world. To others, it may simply appear that you are busy, that you have grown apart from people naturally, that you have chosen a quieter life. Few will recognize that it is not your choice, but the result of calculated influence. Evil rarely announces its plans. It works through whispers, through carefully timed silences, through gradual disconnection. And by the time you realize how alone you are, the path back to connection feels broken. This loneliness becomes a cage built not of walls or locks, but of absence, of all the people who should be there, but are no longer within reach. And in that cage, hidden evil stands close, smiling, knowing that with no one left to turn to, you are theirs to control. There are smiles that warm the heart, smiles that carry kindness, that reassure and heal, but then there are smiles that chill the soul. They look normal to anyone passing by, but to the one who receives them, they carry something hollow, something unsettling. Hidden evil often reveals itself through such expressions. A smile that doesn't quite reach the eyes, a smile that lingers too long, or appears at the wrong moment. It is the smile of someone who is not truly celebrating you, but watching you, studying you, waiting for a weakness. It is not the smile of comfort, but of calculation. You feel it in your body, a discomfort you cannot explain, a sense that the person in front of you is not what they appear to be. And while others see friendliness, you feel danger. This kind of smile is dangerous because it disguises intent. Words may sound supportive, actions may appear kind, but the expression betrays something darker. You notice it in moments when they should be happy for you, but the smile feels strained, their eyes cold. You sense it when you share your joy, and their face curves upward, but their energy feels heavy, almost resentful. The body recognizes the truth long before the mind does, and something inside you whispers that this is not real happiness. This is envy wrapped in politeness. But because the world is trained to see smiles as signs of goodness, you question yourself. You wonder if you are imagining it, if you are being paranoid. This self-doubt is exactly what hidden evil feeds on, because the more you dismiss your instincts, the stronger its mask becomes over time. You start to see the pattern. Their smiles often appear when you are vulnerable, when you are uncertain, when you are in pain. Instead of comfort, the smile seems to feed on your struggle, as though your suffering is a private victory for them. This is not the compassion of a friend, but the quiet satisfaction of someone who thrives when others are weak. And when you succeed, when you rise, when you shine, their smile tightens, forced, sharp around the edges. They may congratulate you with words, but the smile betrays the truth. It carries the bitterness of envy, the discomfort of someone who cannot stand to see you in the light. Such smiles are not random. They are a language of hidden malice. They communicate things that words cannot, warnings that the soul picks up, even when the mind tries to ignore them. You might notice the way they watch you with that expression, when you walk into a room, or how they flash it when others are not paying attention. It feels personal, direct, almost like a silent message meant only for you. And that message is clear: you are not safe in their presence, no matter how kind their words may sound. The smile becomes a mask, a disguise, a weapon that hides what is truly lurking beneath the surface. What makes this sign so chilling is the loneliness it creates inside you. You cannot explain to others why the smile unsettles you, because to them it looks harmless. You struggle to find the words to describe what your body knows instinctively, that there is poison hidden behind the curve of the lips, a silent hostility masked as charm. This leaves you doubting your perceptions, wondering if perhaps you are too sensitive. But the truth is that your instincts are sharper than you realize, and the discomfort you feel is a warning. Evil often shows itself not in words, but in subtle gestures, and the smile is one of its favorite tools, because while words can be challenged, a smile is almost impossible to accuse. It slips past suspicion, leaving you haunted by a feeling you cannot name, a feeling that tells you something is terribly wrong. Envy is a shadow that often hides itself in the costume of support. And when you are surrounded by hidden evil, this sign is one of the most painful to experience. It begins innocently, with someone close to you clapping when you stumble, offering comfort that feels strangely hollow, words that sound right but lack warmth. They are quick to offer their shoulder when you fail, eager to stand by you when life breaks you down. But when you succeed, when light shines on you, something shifts. Their smile fades too quickly, their congratulations sound forced, their eyes carry a weight that betrays discomfort. They may say the right things, but energy does not lie, and you feel the absence of true joy for your achievements. This is envy hidden beneath the mask of friendship, and it is one of the surest signs that darkness is near. Envy does not announce itself loudly. It is quiet, patient, calculated. When you share your victories, they listen but do not celebrate. Instead, they quickly change the subject, downplay your efforts, or subtly remind you of your flaws. If you buy something new, they comment on how expensive it must have been or how unnecessary it seems. If you achieve something you worked hard for, they find ways to remind you of what you still lack. This is not guidance or care. This is the poison of comparison dripping into your soul. Slowly, you notice that instead of feeling uplifted by their presence, you feel smaller, as though your accomplishments are being diminished by the very people who should be proud of you. The most dangerous part of envy disguised as support is the way it confuses your heart. Because they comfort you in hard times, you convince yourself they must truly care. You think they were there when I cried, they stood by me when I was broken. But what you don't see is the satisfaction that your pain brings them, the quiet reassurance they feel when you are below them. They want you dependent. They want you doubting yourself. They want you to never rise too high, because your growth threatens their shadow. Their support during your struggles is not love, it is control. It is a way to keep you small, to keep you close, to keep you believing that they are indispensable in your life. This type of envy often reveals itself in subtle reactions. When you succeed, they may withdraw, becoming cold and distant without explanation. Or worse, they may pretend to celebrate while secretly planting doubts in your mind, whispering things like, "Are you sure you can handle it?" Or, "You know this might not last." They chip away at your confidence under the guise of concern, making you feel as though their words are meant to protect you. But the truth is that their words are meant to restrain you, to keep you from stepping fully into your light. Envy cannot tolerate growth, because growth exposes what they lack. And so they disguise their resentment as caution, their bitterness as advice, their fear as care. Over time, this false support drains you. You begin to notice that you feel more alive sharing your dreams with strangers than with those who claim to be close to you. You hesitate before telling them your good news, because some part of you knows it. It will not be met with genuine happiness. You shrink your own victories, downplay your own success, just to avoid the discomfort of their reactions. And in doing so, you rob yourself of the joy you deserve. This is exactly what hidden evil wants, to make you silence your light, so that their shadow feels less exposed. It is not that they cannot see your worth. It is that they see it too clearly, and it terrifies them. So they cover their envy with empty words, with counterfeit applause, with smiles that hide clenched teeth, hoping you will never notice that behind their support lies a heart that cannot bear your rise. Evil does not always walk into your life with noise, with violence, with the obvious signs that make it easy to recognize. More often, it comes quietly, hidden in familiar faces, cloaked in gestures of kindness, wearing the mask of love, friendship, or loyalty. It drains your spirit while pretending to comfort you, manipulates you while speaking the language of care, twists truth until you no longer trust your own mind, cuts you off from those who could save you, hides malice behind a smile, and poisons your victories with envy disguised as support. Each sign alone may seem small, easy to excuse, simple to overlook, but together they form a pattern too sharp to ignore. And when you see the pattern, when you feel the weight of it pressing against your heart, you begin to realize that the most dangerous evil is not the one outside your door, but the one sitting quietly beside you, the one you allowed in because it looked harmless, the one that survives only because you chose not to see it.